He was the man that John Edwards trusted with his darkest secrets. Technically, his finance director, Andrew Young, was more like a personal assistant, a confidant. He was Edwards' go-to guy for everything from politics to petty errands to personal affairs. Young is a 43-year-old attorney, and he was once so willing to defend the senator that he even agreed to publicly claim paternity of Edwards' out-of-wedlock child with Mistress Riel Hunter, all in order to protect his boss's political future. Young says that Edwards once called him, quote, a friend like no friend I've ever had. When news broke that Hunter was pregnant, Young shocked everyone by claiming paternity of the unborn child, a revelation that was perhaps all the more shocking since a New York Times reporter claimed to have evidence that Young had undergone a vasectomy several years earlier, a fact which Young denies in the book. So why cover for Edwards then? And why the decision to come clean now? As Young himself admits, he reveled in the power, not to mention the monetary compensation, that he was being well paid for his services with sizable funds coming from another close friend of Edwards, his former finance chair, the late Fred Barron. But now, with Edwards' political career in the gutter, Young has decided he's got nothing to lose and is divulging everything from behind-the-scenes bombshells to confidential family secrets to the ultimate scandal of all scandals, a sex tape. No wonder the world is watching to see what shocking new details he'll reveal next. And joining me now is the author of The Politician and Insider's account of John Edwards' pursuit of the presidency and the scandal that brought him down, Andrew Young. Mr. Young, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
There is a sex tape?
There is.
There is, and you've been offered big money for it?
We were.
And there has been a lawsuit, an injunction from allowing you to do anything with it.
The lawsuit was just filed last Thursday. The lawyers are still working through it. It's pretty confusing. But the grand jury, the prosecutors in the grand jury investigation subpoenaed the tape, and it's my understanding that I couldn't give it over if I wanted to.
So you have a copy and they have a copy.
Exactly.
So you made a copy for them.
Exactly.
And do you think he has any legal problems?
The senator?
Yeah.
You know, when you go before the grand jury, they ask you a lot of questions. They don't tell you much.
Yeah.
I would say that they've put so much time, work, and effort into this. I think I would be surprised if they don't have something.
If you could sell the tape for a lot of money at some point, would you?
No.
Why?
I just don't think I could live with myself after that. I mean, the reason I put the sex tape in the book is because I think it's an important part of an important chapter of what happened. This was a man that had the ability and came very close to being one of the, could have been a president. And within 4 months of the Iowa caucuses, not only does he have an affair, but he videotapes a sexual encounter with a pregnant woman that is not his wife, and then leaves the videotape sitting in a rental house that's being shown by realtors for 8 months. I don't know how I leave that out of the book.
All right, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
You really think this guy's going to be president? You started as a pretty low-level staffer.
Right.
You worked your way into the inner circle.
Right.
Tell us, why did you like John Edwards so much? What was it about him?
Well, my father was a minister, and I'd grown up around a lot of very charismatic, powerful speakers. And my wife and I were at the beach one time, and he had just won the Democratic primary. We went to see him, and I fell in love right away. I mean, the guy had an ability, whether you like him or dislike him, he had an ability when he was on to really take the audience into his vision of
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, so you were mesmerized by him.
Yeah,
you were caught
absolutely.
You were a true, let me say, true believer?
Yeah.
But you saw early signs of his character. You described if he'd go to fairs, he didn't want to, quote, hang out with those rednecks. These are words.
The fairs didn't start until he started running for president, which was a couple years on down. He never went to fairs within the state. He only went to fairs once he started running.
But he hated being around. You used the term rednecks. Right. He didn't want to be seen with them. Right. There was early signs that Mr. Two Americas really was an elitist phony.
There were signs, yes.
And you ignored them. Why?
Working around the Hill and working around politicians in general, it wasn't an abnormal trait to have.
So, well, I mean, but now in retrospect, you should.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. In retrospect, I mean, what we did was wrong. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. All right. The big part of this book is you made a decision to tell the whole story about an affair. I think it was, and I read the whole book, and it was, I couldn't put the book down. I'll be honest.
Thank you.
Because it is almost. You can't even make this stuff up.
Right. Right.
Here's a guy that has a chance to be the president,
right,
and is as reckless as he is. Tell us how this all got started when you first became aware of Riel Hunter.
It became slowly at first because the senator and I would be riding somewhere, and Elizabeth was tracking his cell phone use because she was suspicious. She had known about previous affairs. She tracked his cell phone use, and so he started using my cell phone to make and receive phone calls from Riel. And Riel would, when he was about to land, and he was always running late, would call me repeatedly. So over a month or two, it just became obvious. You know, he was sitting a foot apart from me in the car, and I could overhear the conversations. So I knew. I didn't say anything.
Right. So you knew that. Wasn't that a disappointment for you at that moment?
Yeah.
That here's a guy that you would put your faith in, you believed in. He's having this affair.
Yes.
But it got worse than that. You became the facilitator of the affair.
I did.
You would help arrange these three-way calls.
I did.
And you would help. You would drop the bat phone, as you called it, on the airplane so he could sneak behind his wife.
I did.
And you facilitated these rendezvous.
I did.
Why would you do that?
Well, first and foremost, there's no logical or rational reason for why I did it. John Edwards and I had gotten to be very close friends. We jogged together. We went to basketball games together. Our families vacationed together. Our kids played together. But on top of that, it was also a career. I had put at this point 6 or 7 years into this. And at this point, he was a viable potential president. And, I was really torn between the incredible things that he could do and some of the powerful things that we did do with healthcare, with education, with a lot of the College for Everyone programs. I was torn between the incredible things that he could accomplish and the appalling behavior that I saw.
But so was it that you were blinded by your own ambition or desire for power? At any point in this process, knowing he's recklessly having an affair, knowing that you're facilitating the cheating against his wife,
right,
did you ever stand back? Did you ever have a moment where your conscience bothered you and said, I cannot continue what I'm doing here?
There were tons of moments like that. But I mean, you're saying, was there this or this or this? There was all of the above. There was the love for him. There was the love for his family. And once Elizabeth got sick, there was the love for her as well. And, Elizabeth had become like a big sister to me and to my family.
But there was evidence, apparently everybody knew. It's the story in Game Change where apparently she's in an FBO or in a car and an airport and rips off her blouse,
right,
screaming, "Look at me."
Right.
Is that true?
Yes.
What was the rest of their relationship like?
They, it was very much like a Jekyll and Hyde relationship with both of them. They both could turn and look at you 1 second and be as sweet and as charming. I've seen her on Wolf Blitzer and just a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting there folding laundry and listening to her on PBS. And halfway through it, I looked up, I was like, wow, this is the woman, this is an incredible woman. And then I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
And she knew even before he decided to run for president that he had all these affairs and that this affair was going on.
Definitely, yes.
She knew, and so and you say she wanted the White House as much or more than him.
Very much so.
Yeah.
This was their son that passed. This was his dream.
All right, when we come back, the big part of the story is you accepted paternity for his child.
Right.
And so we'll ask you how what happened with that and why you would do that. We'll have more with Andrew Young.